Yeah, no, that's awesome, and I really like that the platform, because I think there's always room for people to pick up knowledge or talk to somebody, and go into specific areas of business or whatever they're whatever journey they're embarking on at the time. Um, but yeah, I would say that for on your end, in terms of kind of the next steps, or whatever else you end up doing and consulting with this company, like, do you ever feel like you know working here's how I look at it. A lot of people that have been just like laid off, like Google just announced 10,000, 12,000 people,
Yeah.
Microsoft, all these companies are just laying people off. I feel like, and those people will be taken care of for a period of time. They're going to get a nice stipend of money, or whatever that might be. They'll have some time to potentially, depending on their situation, maybe take some time off and really like
Yeah.
reset themselves and talk to recruiters and all this other stuff. But I also feel like this is an opportunity for people like myself and you, who truly like helping people, right? Like really go in and just like guidance or whatever else it is to really tap in with those people and just be like, hey, listen, you're at this level, you're a vice president, you're whatever, your product manager, it doesn't matter, you just got laid
Mhm.
off. So now that that's happened with a company with like Google or Microsoft, where you feel like, oh, this will never happen to me, which I'm sure a lot of people, when they got jobs, they're like, oh, I'm never going to get laid off unless I get fired for something. It's going to be, they have all the money in the world. I
Mhm.
feel like that's the opportunity right now for those people to start working on themselves, start putting together a personal brand and using their experience. Because my thing is always, whatever skill set you have within that company that they're paying you pretty substantial money, I am I'm willing to bet my money on it that if you were to go out on your own tomorrow, whether it's from a consulting advising perspective, and you come in with that knowledge from, like that big corporate level,
Yeah.
and you're making a lot of decisions, all this, you can be like making 3 or 4 times what you're doing, as long as you have
100%.
that right, somebody to maybe even like latch onto for a little bit, and pay somebody a consulting fee and be like, dude, I need you to guide me on how to create this, how to do this. Or even now, you might not even need that. You could probably just, if you have that time off, you can go on and go pick up knowledge everywhere, YouTube, go to Quora, go wherever you need to go to pick up those bits of pieces of information. And there's literally no, like, every single tool out there now, that there's no code tools, AI, all these other things, you can get to the source of what you need to do, like, with an instant. Like, you can snap your fingers and you can literally have whatever you need, whether it's setting up an email list, whether it's like writing up your first blog, whatever that might be. Start sharing information, because the only way to really understand where you might be needed, or what piece of your knowledge that this company was paying you probably six figures for, what piece of your knowledge you can actually contribute to other businesses or whatever else that might be. And I would highly encourage, and whoever might or might not listen to this podcast, is like, go out there and just like start taking swings, take smaller swings, start tapping into people on LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever else it is.
Mhm.
And honestly, man, like you said, the entrepreneurial like community online is offering free knowledge by by I can't even, like, it's so much free knowledge out there. Like, I don't even know the word to use to, like, the abundance of like free knowledge that there is right now. And I feel like people, if those people take a minute, take a deep breath to go in and be like, okay, I can start my, start writing my cooking book, or start making my recipe book, or start, building my website, because I've always wanted to do like nutrition or whatever that might be. Like, those steps are so much easier to take now. Those steps are so, like, they literally don't cost you an arm and a leg anymore. For like $500 maybe, you can get everything, even less. That's even, I think, even too much, but like, let's say even 150, $200. Like, you can have all the tools that you need to run a full-fledged business. And like I said, taking whatever that company is paying you for and double or triple that for yourself. It might take a little bit of time. You might need to get a part-time job. You might need to go drive Uber for a little bit. You might need to do some supplement income till it gets to that point. But if you're already laid off and you have that time off, and you maybe have a little bit of a cushion of money that you can use, you might not even need to do that. So
I think you're
that's what I
you're
would
you're
encourage
100%
people.
right. I mean, the person, like, if you have social media, or let's even go further. If you have an
Yeah,
email, you should be having you should be if you have an email, you should be working on your personal brand. And the fact of the matter is, your knowledge has value, and you're 100% right. So there is someone out there that's willing to pay for that knowledge that you've learned in your capacity at Microsoft or Google for their startup. And I think what's so interesting is, in times like this, and the dip, startups start to pop up everywhere. And that was one of the reasons that kind of sealed the deal for me, kind of joining the Pick My Brain team, was that realizing that this is an opportunity to do all the things that I've been doing or trying to do over the past year in one capacity, and helping other people do it. Because, when I joined the Tiny Mile team, one of the things that I noticed was it had just raised money. It was a really young team. I came in as head of growth, and it was just kind of like, okay, what do we do now? And I was thinking back, I was like, man, wouldn't it have been great if I'd come in and they'd already had a vetted 60-day plan that they had talked, that they maybe booked out some time with, a senior level Google growth marketer, and handed me that plan and said, hey, we know you're a great fit for this role. Let's execute on this plan and iterate as we have to, rather than, having that, us trying to kind of find awkward phase or trying to figure out our rhythms, etc. Where do I get this? Where do I get that? Like, onboarding is a hard enough process. And I think you had a discussion of onboarding with one of your other guys the other day, but you can use this knowledge transfer economy to have a more effective and more enjoyable onboarding process for startups. And like you just said, right? So people can tap into senior learnings, or I guess that's maybe, I don't know what the word for it is, but more experienced people through all these kind of, whether it's Marketer for Hire or Pick My Brain or Gumroad or whatever. And the time is now. And I think you're 100% right. There's so much information out there. I dedicate, I probably do too much podcast listening every week, but it is overwhelming how much information is out there. But I think the approach they have to take, and is to take a lesson and a feather from your cap, is to set that goal and then figure out, okay, what knowledge do I need to fill that gap, or that gap in that question that I'm asking this week, and what's next week's question. And so set that objective and really take that approach to it, and then work towards understanding that. Don't just dive into the pool of knowledge. Of course, it's going to be overwhelming. It's like diving into the ocean, right? But if you do it in a low control environment, like you said, saying, hey, I want to do an Italian cookbook, I need to figure out what are the best ones out there and what are the best formats. And you go grab that information, compile that into your Notion, and go back and hit the next step. It all goes back to, not to hit on my science kind of background again, but like neuroplasticity, right? These experiences and experiencing things will change your personality, will change the person that you are. That's what learning does, and I think it's important to remember that. And in a dip, there's all these people out there that are lost, and it can be a little bit depressing, but also seeing the silver lining, that it's a new opportunity. And like you said, there's people out there, the knowledge that you've had in your senior role, that's, if I could impart one message to all these people, 85,000 people in Silicon Valley right now, is that your knowledge has value, and there's people out there for sure looking for that knowledge and guidance. And just, you gotta, reach out to people like us that can, help guide you along where to connect with those people, I think, is the most important thing.